Hello, good evening, Chuempala. My name is Elias Munsha, and we are coming to you live today on TV Bakwetu. As usual, I'm not alone here today, but I am with our usual co-host and co-presenter, Mr. Norman Chipakupaku, who is also called General. Yesterday, when I reappeared on TV Bakwetu after a few days of hard work, elsewhere, not on TV Bakwetu, General was able to hold down the fort very, very well. And so we are very excited that we could do this show together with him today. Please share with as many people as possible so that we can only bring in General and the guests and our co-presenter, Mr. Frank Saliki, and several other Bakwetu presenters at a later stage, Bakwetu media friends at a later stage. So thank you very much. Today, again, due to some circumstances beyond control, my video is not going to be there, but my voice is definitely here, and I hope that laughter that interrupts your thinking from time to time. Otherwise, no video. Please don't read much into why there is no video. Bantu bambimwe na mwamba kwa mulomo. Ati yo nicho takuli video because of 1, because of 2, because of 3. No. For all those that are joining us again, please send us stars. TV Bakwetu survives on stars because it is a free channel. We don't depend on government subsidies or anything else. We depend on the volunteer efforts of the co-presenters and everyone involved, and this platform of Facebook. So please send us stars. What we notice is when we talk about sending stars, you actually send. When we don't talk about it, you don't. It's like you are Pentecostals. Muchechi ngatawarandire ba pastor paropia tamupera tamutula. Bakatolika bena na apostolic church bena they give. It doesn't matter that the pastor is talking about it or not. So to alandapo. Otherwise, thank you very much. I think we are at 812 from my end here, and it should be time now to bring in my co-presenter, Mr. Norman Chipakupaku, also called General. General, you're welcome.
Good evening, Chuempala. Good evening, Livingston. Good evening, Zimba, Kalomo. Good evening, our people in Choma, Kanyama, Sioma, and our people in Isoka and Chama. Good evening and greetings from Scotland. And good evening, Musha. I hope you're well. It's good to hear that voice. And how are you doing?
General, I'm doing very well, amazingly well. It's been a very interesting past few days. Yeah, I'm doing very well. And what more is exciting for me is the fact that finally the people of Zambia go to vote on Thursday. This is amazing. And so I hope that I am going to take as much time as possible today, General, when you give me an opportunity. Because, General, you are going to moderate this discussion again. But ngamwambera ko opportunity, if you want message, that the people should show up in big numbers. General, I know you have a very big agenda. You like talking about so many things, but particularly today and tomorrow and the rest of the days, I will only be talking about one thing, General. We want people to wake up early in the morning and go and vote. But what I want to see is every Zambian, every citizen, everybody with a voter's card and an NRC to show up. No, but there could be some people who have lost an ID or something like that. They still need to show up, General, because maybe, they can go and explain there to the polling officers to say, by any chance, maybe I lost my card or I lost my NRC, but showing up, the people must show up. Anyway, Nalanda Sana, General, over to you.
Thank you so much, Musha. And you are right, Musha. It's 2 days to go. Zambians, 2 days to go. But before I continue with my rant, just nice to welcome Frank Saliki from England. Good evening, Frank.
Good evening, General. How are you? Nice to see you back. It looks like everyone missed you last night.
Well, I had to take time off to try and prepare for a marathon. We are having a marathon from today until the final day, until the day when my president is going to be declared president. So it's going to be tough. The next 3, 4, 5 days are going to be tough. So I think let's get started. Welcome to Bakwetu TV. Tonight we have a very interesting menu, which I would like us to have. We are expecting to be joined by Mr. Chishamwewa, Nchelenje MP. Remember where the issue of the fight was. We are also looking at the leaked video of electoral officers working with ZAF and PF and Mr. Zulu somewhere in the north, planning something very strange. Secondly, we will look at the US government demands for free and fair elections. They've issued a statement today. The US embassy in Lusaka has issued a statement with a very, very serious warnings there. And we also have to look at some of the PF propaganda. One of them, which is very, very annoying. We saw a video which they made of Dr. Kaunda, which really, really made me annoyed. And I hope they want to release that video, because if they do, then I will be mad. The next one is the
General, what did you say? That if they release that video,
yeah, yes, if they do, I will be mad. I will take my turn to rant, because you cannot use the voice of a man who has died and try and use it against HH. If you want to fight HH, fight him. Don't use Kaunda's voice. Don't use Kaunda's pictures, because if they use it, we have intercepted it. We have seen it. If they do, I will be mad. And Musha, then finally, we hope we'll be joined by Copperbelt, the Copperbelt team, telling us exactly, as we are aware, our viewers, HH has been denied chance to go to the Copperbelt. Every time he tries to go to the Copperbelt, somebody called Mr. Lungu or the vice goes to the Copperbelt. And we will also be...
I just need to be careful here, because you are saying Mr. Lungu. Today he has said that you shouldn't do that. So here's the thing. His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zambia and Commander-in-Chief of all armed forces and security services, Dr. Edgar Chagwa.
And the Inspector General of all projects, and the President for 7 years, and the father to Tasila, and what else? I missed.
You said it in English at father to Tasila. No.
I wish Tasila. And what else should I add? Okay, for me, really, I don't care what he says. It's just embarrassing for a president. Honestly, it's very embarrassing for a president to spend the whole last time in the presidency to be complaining. Musha, this evening we've just received a video. I wish I could play it for the viewers. Mr. Lungu, Dr. Lungu, Edgar Chagwa Lungu, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, President of Zambia for life, if he wants to be called the president, he is issuing a threat. Few days ago, we got a threat, the same threat from Antonio, that if it was Rwanda, HH would have been shot in the head. Today, the president of Zambia repeats the same threat. It's sickening. It's really sickening. It's really sickening for a president. I know, Mr. President, you are scared. Mr. President, I know it's hard to lose an election, to imagine losing an election. But for you to start threatening citizens, for you to allow Antonio to say somebody should be shot in the head, and to even include a foreign country, it's not acceptable. It's just not acceptable. So that's what I'm saying, Musha. Some of the tricks which this government is using are sad. So I think let's move on, Musha. I will play that video to the Zambians tonight. If you have not seen Mr. Lungu's video tonight, I will play it after this. I will put it on my Facebook page. That is not the language of a president. So let's move on. Let's move on quickly, Musha, and start with the story of our friends in the ZAF and Mr. Lungu, Mr. Zulu in the northern province. And I wanted to say something. It's 2 days to go, Musha. I think I'll be very frank. And this is the time to start naming and shaming people. What do you think, Muncha?
I think it's okay to name and shame. I just want to name and shame with clear evidence. Now I know, General, that there could be evidence there, but I just want to name and shame clear evidence, particularly of people that are not here to defend themselves, because I know this election is big, and so I want to stay focused on what really matters, the areas where I feel we need to really act on at the moment, which is showing up and voting big. But if you are going to name and shame, General, I can't stop you, because you are already said it very well that you'll be very angry. So I don't want to affect your anger. You can go ahead and name and shame them.
Yeah, Musha, I totally agree with you. And I want us, our viewers, to understand one thing. The next 2 days, we are going to focus on vote turnout and making sure that our people are going to vote. But as we go towards these 2 days, there are a lot of terrible things happening, which are just annoying. And I wanted the PF and their commander-in-chief and everybody else to know that the Zambians are not sleeping. We are seeing and we are watching everything, Mr. Lungu, everything. Even the things you are saying in State House to high commissioners and observers, we are listening to those things. Not that we're spying on you, Mr. President, but we are listening to these things. And it's just not fair that we can start getting ZAF officers getting involved in elections. That's not their job. ZAF officers should be there to defend our country and not to be running elections, not to be playing around like what is happening tonight at ZAF Lusaka. It's not right. And that's what I'm saying. I'm going to name some people.
Isn't ZAF involved with transportation of ballot papers?
If they're involved with transportation of ballot papers, there must be Zambians there. It should not be left to one brigadier general in the Air Force to do that. That's not his job.
Yeah.
So I am just going to say, the Air Force, people are watching what you are doing. And especially the people at the Air Transport Command of the Air Force, we are here. We know what you are doing. So probably I'll go by the lawyer's advice. I'll not name them. But I've just given you a hint there. The people and the person who's in charge of the Air Transport Command of the Air Force, watch, because we know what you are doing. You cannot be playing games. We know what happened, Musha, in the northern province where a Mr. Zulu, because the video is there, the instructions which are going on. And Zambians will find it difficult to accept these elections as free and fair if there are games being played by our brothers and sisters from the PF, including especially the Air Force, and especially DCs and the electoral officers. It's not right. I just want to welcome Dr. Jones. I worry about people's titles. I don't want to be cited for
Make sure you get on your titles.
Contempt of court.
Dr. Jones Gasotso. Our president is very, very particular about titles. So I want to be very careful with people's titles. And I'll also write my list of my titles so that you can also address me correctly, ladies and gentlemen. So Dr. Gasotso, there are these issues of I want to hear from Dr. Gasonso.
Yeah.
Have you listened to these videos from the north, audios from the north of instructions being given? Go ahead.
No, sir. General Chipakoko, first of all, before I answer your question, it's a good thing to see you. We missed you yesterday.
Good.
If you are going to go correctly by the titles, I have several of them.
Okay.
One, a professor is bona fide. I have several professorial portfolios from more than three universities, and I still hold one. Doctor is, of course, from the PhD. But Reverend also is bona fide because I'm a seminary graduate and I know how to read and write Greek.
Wow.
And also I have served in the ministry. I am also, CPA is a bona fide title because it's given by the state government of the Commonwealth for you to represent public interest in matters of finance. So we have an embarrassment of titles. The only one we cannot accept is Mr. Kasonse. Yeah, so ama titles I first year we can punch sentry obuntungwa kuli obuntungwa kuzamba pali ifyo balandire pazafu bayimo banoma nchipakupaku chinshi balandire yoko bazafu finshi balechi takuzambia balecha play toy ni chalo chesu chilishani.
Well, ZAF, these electoral commission officers in the north, in Mchinga in particular, are being given special tasks. And unfortunately, they're forgetting one thing, that wherever they are watermelons in these groups. And this information is coming through, it's all over the internet. It's not fake, because the person who was giving these instructions, they have operations which they have, there are ballot papers missing, and there are things happening. Like this evening, we're told something happening at the Air Transport Command in Lusaka. And what we're just saying is, let's have a free and fair election.
Now you remember what I said 2 days ago. With this deployment of soldiers and putting people everywhere, that if something looks suspicious, it probably is suspicious. So, yes, I'm enjoying your approach of shaming and calling out names. And if we have sufficient intelligence, let's be able to play these names up in public, because there are public interested organizations, including the international community, who knows those people and who would know what they did. There are consequences even beyond the elections. So let's be able to do that. What we cannot have is a sham election. The Zambians will not accept it. Those brothers and sisters are being fictitious and childish. They will burn that country. That country is going on fire if they cheat in this election. So they should desist from that. People are sick and tired of their nuisance. They had a chance to lead, they failed. And people should go and express their voice. If they think they did a good job, they let the people express it. What are these monkey tricks with the elections? What are these monkey tricks with elections?
The starting point for me is the president. At the moment, shall I call him Mr. Lungu? Will I get in trouble?
No. He's a bona fide Mr. Lungu. In his lifetime, he never ended.
Can we have, gentlemen, can we have one person at a time, please? Over to you, Frank.
Yeah, he's a president. He's a president of the country at the moment. And the one thing, whether he's going for elections, what is important is the incumbent president. And he is supposed to lead the country through this period in time peacefully. But the things that are coming out from his mouth at the moment is not about peace. It's the video of him saying if HH was in a country, it could have been shot. That a president should not be saying stuff like that. A president should be preaching peace, should be encouraging his members to say, let's have a peaceful election, let the people's choice prevail. That's what a leader does. Because anybody who goes into State House, they're supposed to be put in there by the people. And by the people's choice, they should come out of there. They were put in there, but the PF went in there. In 2011, the people made the choice, and they went in there. There was a bit of discrepancies in 2016, but that's neither near nor there. At the moment, they know what the people's choice is. And instead of respecting the people's choice, and instead of campaigning and said, this is what we're going to give you, the people, they've just gone and caused division. They've campaigned on tribal grounds. And at this crucial time, with the tension in the country, the president, as a leader of the country, he should be diffusing that tension. He should be encouraging peace. He should be encouraging oneness and togetherness. He should be encouraging people to speak out by their vote. But what he's doing at the moment, he's not. He's talking about people being shot and everything else. And for me, that is awful leadership. And that demonstrates the kind of leaders that they have, the kind of people that they have. We've had Antonio Mwanza mention it. Now the president has mentioned it. That tells you something. It runs in the party. And when something is, if something is not right in a house, who do you look at? You look at who's heading that house. If something is not right in an organization, you look at who's heading that organization. Something is not right in Zambia, we have to look at who's running the country.
Okay, thank you so much. Now, we are talking because we're in the diaspora. I want the people on the ground, and I want Mr. Simbeye, Jairo, who's in Isoka. Simbeye, welcome, and welcome to TV Bakwetu. Tell me, what are you hearing about this story of the Northern Province and the things which are happening with Mr. Zulu? What are you hearing about all these stories we are hearing? That if HH is not careful, he will be shot in the head. What are you hearing about this story we are hearing that HH must accept defeat now because he has already lost? What are these stories, Vasimbe? Go ahead, Mr. Simbe. No, he's not able to get us. Vasimbe, you're not able to get us. Munsha, what's your view when you hear somebody saying HH must accept the results? If he doesn't accept the results, he will be arrested. Hi, Musha, are you there? It looks like all my guests are off tonight. I don't know what has happened. Mr. Simbeya is not able to hear us. Are you able to hear us, Mr. Simbeya? No? Dr. Kasonso, Professor, he says, Mr. Lungu says, Dr. Lungu says, whatever President Lungu says, that Mr. Hakainde must accept the results. If he doesn't accept the results, he will be arrested. Especially now, he wants to arrest him for refusing to accept the results or privatization. What's your comment about that, Dr. Kasonso?
I think Mr. Lungu is sick in the head. And okay. Last time, Hakainde's driver committed a traffic offense. They put Hakainde for more than 120 days or something like that in a jail or something like that. Now, the people from every corner of the country want Hakainde to take over the country because they have hope and help in him. So, Mr. Lungu, bona fide, because he is a Mr. Lungu. Let me address this issue topic correctly. If the University of Zambia was independent of the Ministry of Education that Mr. Lungu supervises, a cabinet minister of, Mr. Lungu's doctorate would be honorary doctorate and recognized. But you don't go to an institution you supervise and get a doctorate. So that is a useless doctorate. So it cannot be called a doctor. So the institution must be independent for them to put on you a bona fide doctorate, if not an earned one. And the last time I checked in the database, there is no dissertation with a Dr. Edgar Chagwa Lungu on it. So let's address him by his bona fide title. He's a Mr. Lungu. Mr. Lungu, he is deluded. He is thinking of Zambia today as if it's the same country that he took over from a funeral, from Sata's funeral. There is no offense that Hakainde Hichilema has committed in this republic. And the nation will not allow any criminal to go and arrest an innocent citizen. So that is not going to happen. If Mr. Lungu wants to try his luck and push that button, let him burn the country up as well. I said yesterday, General, that these guys, the most fundamental quality they are lacking, where they have forfeited the right to lead the country, is just lack of love for country. Lack of love for country. What is Zambia itself? There is nothing even in the country called Zambia. They took something from the Zambezi and they crafted something called Zambia in there. There's no tree called Zambia. There's no mountain called Zambia. The whole country called Zambia is just a conglomerate of tribes and villages and people from the four corners or all the corners of the country who came together to fight for independence against a global empire at the time. So we are one people. He, Mr. Lungu, has governed the last 7 years without input from strategic parts of the country. He has governed only from people from a certain part of the country. And even right now, as they are running for office, they are running against some parts of the country. So these guys, they don't like our country. And if we have prayers, if we have money, if we have force, if we have energy, if we have passion to remove them from office, now is the time. Because beyond this, we cannot have a country. So if ever kupererwa fya mano chitavako fya kuchita ngana balwalisha sana bayopoke kwa mapanado baye bacheve campaign umunabo aleta campaign ngafika kuva mtiso chilerila mule amona ma videos bachipako mule amona.
Okay, doctor, let's I'm watching every move of HH. Doctor, there is a comment from Lubombe Chipalo, because we've said Chipulo, we've said we should give chance to our people to comment. Lubombe says he's really using scary tactics, and he's become more daring as we get closer to the polls. I think Lubumbe Chipulo, you are right. This man is trying to scare everybody. He wants to scare them from voting. He wants to scare people that is going to arrest them. One thing about HH privatization, yesterday we dug an old video of my late friend Ronald Penza, talking about privatization. And we posted it deliberately on Facebook yesterday to tell Mr. Lungu and all his people that the real people who privatized all the Zambian companies, especially the mines, was not HH. It was not HH. So now he wants to arrest him for privatization, and then he has been threatening the whole day that he's going to arrest him if he doesn't accept the results. How do you know you have won, Mr. Lungu? How? Unless you're telling me a witch doctor, you know these things. Democracy is not witchcraft, Mr. Lungu. It's democracy. Let the people go and cast their vote on Thursday. Let them be counted. The winner is declared. You can't declare yourself a winner before the elections are won. Okay, let's move on. Before we move on, Frank, any comment on this issue of the Air Force and the North, the leaked videos? I wanted to hear it from somebody from Zambia. And if there's anybody from Zambia who wants to join us, please join us and tell us about what you hear about Mr. Zulu in Muchinga and what is happening in the Air Force. I've just been restrained by Musha. I would have mentioned the name of this Brigadier General, who, as I'm talking now, is working on something very nasty. Don't get involved in our elections, Zambia Air Force. You can only go for your elections and vote. Don't play. Be on the side of the people, Air Force. Do not be on the side of PF and one individual. Unless there's any comment, Frank, on this topic, we move on to the next topic. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think just what we were talking about last week when the president introduced the army into the whole thing. We said this smelled fishy, and it was fishy. Now we can see what he's doing. He's trying to use all arms of the government that are supposed to protect the people on for his benefits. He knows he's losing these elections. He knows the wind is only going one way. And for me, it feels like they're trying to use every wing of the government to try and rig the election.
And Esther Chira Zulu says, Mr. Lungu does not inspire hope. That's why the people have rejected him. But Esther, I think you're right. And then, as usual, we have our people. One of them, Austin M. Chupusu, saying, Chimbusu. Oh, that is terrible, Austin. You can't say that. That is terrible, Professor. That's awful. Now, I think this. You're right. You're right, Frank. He's trying to use all the arms of government, especially the defense forces, to threaten you people before you go and vote. But I think the best weapon you have, as Professor Kasonso has said, let's all mobilize. Let's all go. Let's go and vote in big numbers on Thursday, and let the vote be counted. and Mr. Lungu cannot declare himself winner, and you cannot threaten to arrest HH over privatization because it's not true. You cannot threaten to arrest him to say he has not accepted the results because the results are not there. Let's wait until Thursday. So
why has he not arrested Nawakwi then? Because Nawakwi was finance minister when the mines were being privatized.
Exactly, and he should go to Chiluba's grave probably and dig it up, because Chiluba led the privatization. Because if that's what he wants us to tell him, but you know, we don't. It's not a sign that we're showing disrespect for people. No, but those are the people who led privatization. Mr. Sata did. Ronald Penza did. Chikwanda did. All these people are there. Why can't you follow them instead of threatening to arrest one person? Okay, gentlemen, let's move on to the next discussion. Dr. Professor Jones Kasonso, this morning, the American, because we have to be very careful, guys, ladies and gentlemen, how we use these titles, because Zambia, people are very mad with these titles if you don't address them correctly. The U.S. Embassy has issued a statement this morning.
No, Dr. Kasonso is good. The other things
I thought so. I thought that's okay. Good. Dr. Kasonso, the U.S. Embassy has issued a statement this morning, and it goes that we want free and fair elections, and anybody who would tamper with these elections, and we know that you are involved in tampering with elections, there will be sanctions.
Yeah.
And they have made it very, very clear that there will be sanctions. They will impose the travel sanctions on anybody who tampers with these elections. They also made it very, very clear that the Zambian elections, including the Electoral Commission, are benefiting from American donors' money. So they have an interest to make sure that democracy works in Zambia.
Yeah.
So anybody who's saying the Americans, anybody saying the British, and all these people should not talk about Zambian democracy, that's complete nonsense, because the Americans are supporting, and the British, the EU are supporting the ECZ. And they issued a very strong warning today. I don't know whether you've read it. Have you read it, Dr. Kasonso?
No, I haven't read it. Part of it is I'm in a vacation spot, so I'm mostly spending time vacationing and not studying. So, but thank you for highlighting that. We want to share with our viewers what that statement means if it has been issued by the United States government. Remember that in the sub-region, there was a base that the United States government had in Kenya, and they moved it to Zambia because they love our country. They trust our country. They believe in our country. And they want the best for our country. They are involved in more than elections. And you know how they work. So when you hear a warning like that from the US government, then they have also not just heard from our media, but from their own presence on our own soil. They have seen something.
Yeah.
And the people in the government better take heed. They better take heed. You know, if the United States government imposes sanctions on Zambia, plus nenkongolesho makwata, tamkwete chalo, nishinako Zambia babruves, tuetu wafunye kofie. So the best thing they can do, what we have to plead with the PF government, is to love the country more than they love their looting. But they vacate from office in peace. Let the elections go. You can't go and get money from the United States government for elections and then you start playing monkey tricks with it. That's what they did, because but this is what this government does by Abachi Pakpako. Remember, they went and borrowed money from Europe. And even the projects they borrowed money for, they are not there in Zambia. And though most of that money were borrowed from pension funds. So as far as the people they borrowed from and the fact that they've defaulted on those loans. But even Dalama,
Let me highlight something which in this statement, Doctor and our viewers. The Americans are saying in one of the last paragraphs says, I want to make it clear that there should be no intimidation of voters by cadre groups from either party, that the police and the military should apply the law equally and humanely in defense of the safety and fundamental rights of Zambian citizens to vote and participate in this democratic process, including the fundamental freedoms of speech and assembly. These are internationally granted human rights that Zambia supports and has signed on to the UN and other international treaties. Okay? So they are reminding the Zambian government that they should respect the law. There should be no cadres intimidating people. And Dr. Kasonso, you're right. For the Americans to say this, they know what's happening.
Yeah.
They go ahead, Frank, go ahead.
I think what's important is the word sanction in this. I think a lot of times I hear a lot of Zambians, a lot of African countries, when they hear sanctions, they always say things like, oh yeah, let them do whatever they want. This is very important because if there are sanctions, what does that mean? It means that money, either in an American budget that they send to Zambia, they don't send that money. When there are sanctions, that's when you get a country like Zimbabwe, which was doing so well, becoming very, very poor. So when there's this threat of sanctions, not just a threat, there's going to be a withdrawal of financial support that is really needed. The British government have done that. They've done that when a few years ago with that money that went missing all of a sudden. When a country withdraws funding, withdraws aid, that means in the treasury there's a gap. There's that amount of money that they receive every year that's not there. And if the US says we're withdrawing the money that you give to that country because they're not very peaceful, because the elections were not free and fair, what happens is the other donors also follow suit as well. So when the president is issuing statements like that, whoever you support, if you're loving Zambian, if you love our country so much, you should be alarmed by statements like that. Because not only will they harm somebody with the president's statements, not only will it harm somebody who's in opposition, but it will harm everybody else, including yourself, even if you're wearing green. So you have to then ask yourself, what sort of leader do we want?
The last paragraph, ladies and gentlemen, says, just before you come, Dr. Kasonso, this statement says, on August the 12th and the days following, the eyes of all Zambians, and indeed the world, will be watching the actions and the words of Zambia's candidates, party leaders, cadre mobilizers, police and military officers, and representatives of the state and quasi-independent organizations that conduct elections, rule in the courts, and administer the law. You carry the very weight of your nation's democratic history and this future on your shoulders. That's a very, very strong statement, Dr. Kasonso. Over to you.
Thank you, General. Let me add on the words of my colleague, Mr. Saliki. We in Zambia cannot survive our country with sanctions. When the United States government threatens with sanctions, they are usually serious enough to follow through. And more than withholding their money, they stop you from transacting using their financial institutions. You are going into Zimbabwe and worse than that. It means you can't use Visa, you can't use these international transfer financial institutions, you cannot travel to their countries, you cannot even sell your copper in their countries. So the concept of sanctions is not something that we can entertain. And countrymen and women, we can't even get into the position where other countries have to hold a fire on our head for us to do what is right for the future of our own country. That is not right. And that is not intelligent. But, you know, General, I always say, given this is PF, I always expect the worst case scenario. The worst case scenario would be they would use the police, try to maintain their positions until someone from outside of Zambia have to smoke them out of their horse. But it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be that way. But I want to assure the people of Zambia that the fact that we have heard that from the United States, the fact that the United States is the global leader with a cluster of countries that follow their public policy, the international policy, should give us the comfort and the courage at the polls to go and vote en masse to remove a government that has failed to govern, so that we can render their threats not useful and not something that we should be worried about in a week's time from now. The same countries that are threatening with sanctions, General, they know that if we put our house in order and we reset our capacity to govern the country properly and move our finances properly, money will start now coming back and dripping into our country because we have taken corrective action. This election is about the corrective action of the stupor that we've had and an anomaly in the history of our country that is called the PF. They thought development was modernization and supplanting buildings from Dubai on date and placing them in Zambia, neglecting the welfare of the people. But economic development is about advancing the welfare of people from being downtrodden, lacking essential commodities and lacking good services and conditions of living, improving their welfare. And that is what the global economy is about. The global economy wants Zambia to move in tandem with the other countries. Those people who are threatening that, no, this HH should have been shot in the head and stuff like that, they just don't have a head. And they are used, you know, I think in the next dispensation, as we improve on our democratization and our way of life, people who speak like that should actually be arrested.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Doctor. And there are a lot of comments here. A lot of comments. A lot of people don't realize that the Americans are supporting Zambia in a big way. If the Americans pull out today, your health sector will be gone. Our health sector will be finished, which means we won't have the drugs, ARVs, we won't have a lot of things for hospitals. And for them to say what they've said, they know so they're there. It's happening in the military. Very good because we know that what the police is doing. We know what the Air Force is doing. And we know what all these other people are trying to do to try and play tricks, games before the elections. But we're supposed to be a democratic country. We should respect the vote. And that's why I think for viewers, it's important that you go on Thursday very early in the morning. Give the biggest votes. Let's turn this into a 1991. It's a referendum against the PF. And just vote against him, and Mr. Lungu will have no choice but to accept the results. If he doesn't accept the will of the people, then that's a different story. That's a different story. He cannot fight the will of the people.
We said last night, General, the biggest mistake that the people can make is not show up. Whatever, if you feel you can see with the army on the street and every tactic that they're doing, if you feel intimidated, the biggest mistake you will make is not show up. Make sure we show up for the elections. Make sure you show up to the polling station to vote. Make sure we show up in numbers. That's the one thing we can do. And for me, that is a remedy against rigging, because you just show up. Show up in big numbers and cast your vote. It's important you don't look back and say, I wonder what could happen if we turned up and voted. They're doing everything that they can do to intimidate. They've done it not to just the people of Zambia. They've done it to HH. They're doing everything that they could to intimidate them. And we're seeing some of these people. I think Mr. Chishimba Kambuli thought being in opposition was an easy thing. That being in opposition is not an easy thing to do. Switch tactics. They have decided they're just going to lie to the people of Zambia. They create unnecessary tension. And that's what they have done. They've created unnecessary tension. Like, I can't remember the time where you saw soldiers on the streets when you're going to vote. It never used to happen. And for President Lungu saying he's coming up with a solution to the problem, well, Mr. Lungu, you are the problem. You caused this problem. Just let the people turn up and to vote peacefully. It's their choice. It's not your choice. If the people wanted you, you would have been popular. They will pick you. You had the chance. So let the people pick the leader of their choice. And if the new leader is not going to be as good as Mr. Munshawe says, then try somebody else until we find somebody who can lead the country in a better way. But for me, the most important thing is let the people's choice be the people's choice, not because you want to stay in power.
Now, we have also got another statement, our viewers, from the former president. My sincere apology for that. We have another statement from the former president of Zambia, His Excellency, Mr. Rupia Banda. He has issued a very powerful statement today. He is calling for peace and is calling for free and fair elections. And he has also said whoever loses this election must concede. That's what Mr. Rupia Banda said. Very, very clear statement. I watched him deliver the statement, and that statement was very, very clear from somebody who has lost an election and conceded. And I think that's a very clear message to the PF government. I'm not saying HH, because HH has conceded before. Despite all the problems, he has taken the country first. Because if HH didn't take the country first, in 2016, it was going to be trouble, but he didn't. He said Zambia is very, very important. So the challenge here is to Mr. Lungu. I hope that he's ready to concede defeat by Friday or Saturday. I hope so. Because the message from His Excellency, the President, Rupia Banda, I'll call him His Excellency because he's a gentleman. I'm very happy to address him as His Excellency because he demonstrated leadership. That if anybody loses, if you don't get the mandate of the people, you must concede. And there will be no threats, Mr. Lungu. There will be no use trying to threaten people using anything. No, there will be no witchcraft even on that day. Just concede defeat if you're defeated, and we move on, and our country will be fine. So, unless there's any other comment, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, our viewers, too many comments about the statement about the British Americans, and somebody saying, I wish the British could also follow suit, and so many comments. So can we move on then to the next topic? It's just sad that we don't have anybody from Zambia. Anybody from Zambia wants to come on live, please join us, because we want to hear your views from Zambia tonight. Because it's very, very important that we hear from you on the ground, so that you don't say, no, the people in the diaspora are just creating these stories. We're not creating these stories, these are real. The PF propaganda, which has gone mad. 2 days ago, PF created a fake must headline and said, according to the Americans, this is a fake must newspaper headline created by somebody who's now known. Before I proceed, I want to welcome our very one and only Jeremy from Rwanda. Jeremy, are you able to hear us?
Yeah, thank you, Jen. Are you able to hear me?
Loud and clear, Jeremy. We were about to wind up the issue of the statement from the American embassy in Lusaka. Before you make your comments, I want to try and see whether Simbe is there. Jairo, are you able to hear us? Mr. Simbe, Jairo from Isoka, are you able to hear us? There's a problem, Mr. Simbe. Can you make sure that you've got your microphone on, please? Are you able to hear us? Yeah, vinabwera vo chedwa technology ku Northern Province. Okay, Mr. Jeremy, what is your comment? What's your comment? We've been discussing a lot of issues, but we don't want to go backwards. We are talking about the threats by Mr. Lungu that is going to somebody has to concede defeat, and the threats that is going to arrest HH. And now we're talking about the statement from the U.S. Embassy, which I think you've read. What do you think is happening in Lusaka, Jeremy?
Yeah, Dr. Kasonso, how are you? Yeah,
I'm fine, sir.
Yeah, I was watching, following, though I couldn't join, but I was following your program yesterday.
Thank you. It's good to see you, sir. How are you? I'm very fine, and it's very good to see you.
Thank you, Sam. I'm just coming from another program on a Crown TV where we are talking about the health sector in the UPND. But coming to the issue here, General, I think the U.S. government has put its foot down, and the people of Zambia, as they are going to vote, they need to know very well to say the PF government has been rejected, and as they are going to vote there, they should think to say, if we vote for the PF government, are we going to be receiving the ARVs which we receive for free from the United States government? If PF wins, those things will not be there. Are we going to be receiving social cash transfer, which the PF is they are abusing? Once PF wins, the people should know that those things will not be there because the US government has put the foot down. They should also ask themselves, are we going to have the issues of maternal and mortality funds coming into country if PF wins? The answer is a big no. Are we going to have money coming to the issue of malaria and all that? The answer is no. So we have a lot to lose if PF wins as compared to the things that we are going to lose if the PF loses. So better the PF loses so that we continue having all these things. As we know very well, PF knows how to steal. They cannot buy drugs for themselves. They cannot do social cash transfer for themselves. So the US government has said it's true. And just like General, you said, HH started conceding defeat a long time ago. This is not the first time this is not the first time HH is conceding defeat. No, he conceded in 2006, he conceded in 2008, he conceded in 2011, he conceded in 2015, he conceded in 2016. So there's no any problem of HH conceding defeat. But the other component, our other colleagues are the ones who are scared and threatening HH on a daily basis, which should not be the case. So that's the issue, General, is here. And we hope President Edgar Lungu concedes the defeat as we defeat him on Thursday this week.
Thank you, Jeremy. As I was talking about the statement, viewers from the US, they know, and they know which people are involved in trying to play games. And I will defy Musha's advice, and I will name Brigadier General Lloyd Chonya as the person leading some of the very dirty tricks. General Chonya, Brigadier General Chonya, Lloyd, stop whatever you're doing because the Zambians know what you're doing. Please stop it because the Zambians know exactly what you're doing. So we are saying this not because we hate anybody, but because we love our country. And we don't want our country to go on fire because of one or two selfish individuals. And in this case, I'm going to name him Brigadier General Lloyd Chonya, who is commanding the air transport of ZAF. Stop playing games, sir, because Zambians are watching. I will say it very, very loud and clear. Zambians are watching. So you're very right, Jeremy, that if we play games, we are going to lose a lot of support from the Americans. And the only way we can stop this terrible disaster is for Zambians to go and vote. Don't be threatened. And this evening, I got some very interesting news, which came from somebody in Lusaka. They saw a tank, an army, one of these BRMDs from the army. It stopped in a town, and out came two of these young soldiers, and everybody was shaking. They were very, very scared. And these soldiers just said to them, "Calm down. Calm down. We are your soldiers. We are here to defend you. We want you to go and vote on Thursday in peace." And I'm saying to these two soldiers, wherever they are, we have got that story, young men. That's the army I know. They just said, "Calm down. Don't run away from us. We are your people. We are your army. We are here to defend you. And what we want is for you to go and vote on Thursday. Period. That's it. That's the message of the army I know." So when you see these soldiers, ladies and gentlemen, don't run away from them. They are your people. They are that army I know is there to defend you. But we have certain elements, very few elements, like this Brigadier General Lloyd Chonya in the Air Force. These are some of the people who want trouble in our country. And I'm going to name him tonight, because we are fed up. We're only 2 days away from elections. We cannot be having people playing games. So let's move on, gentlemen. It's sad that we can't hear Mr. Simbe. Mr. Simbe, are you able to hear us from Isoka? Can we try it again? No, it's not possible. So let's move on and hear what else we have tonight. We have been talking about the issue of the sanctions, and let's talk about the propaganda. The issue of the PF propaganda is just sad. I was talking about the mass newspaper. They created a fake mass newspaper.
That's desperation.
And say the HH believes in homosexuality. According to them, the US government had reported that when he was in Birmingham, he belonged to a lodge. That is a lie. Thank God the must came up and said, no, that's a fake must newspaper headlines, which was released 2 days ago. They distributed it all over the show. And today they've named somebody. Somebody has been named today to have played that fake thing. Again, it's a diplomat. This diplomat who was supposed to be in somewhere is playing games, is in Lusaka playing games. The second one, which has really annoyed me, Dr. Kasonso, PF has created a video of Dr. Kaunda saying, I don't want HH to rule this country because he is going to divide this country. And I just want to tell Zambians, I know Dr. Kaunda, and I knew that man. Those words are fake. People used his own video to create a fake video. That's how desperate these people. Can you imagine people creating a fake story about somebody who is gone and trying to circulate it? We intercepted that video, and I challenged them this morning, release it and we will embarrass you. Did you see the must headlines, Jeremy?
General, thank you for that. General, PF is very much desperate, and the fact that they have been rejected across the country, everywhere you go, people don't want PF. Now they want to make up things. They said about the mass newspaper, the mass, the same they refuted to say, we didn't have such a story. But besides them circulating whatever which was fake, the people have said, no problem, even if HH is a satanist, even if HH is a witch doctor, even if HH is whatever you call him, we are going to give him a vote. We don't care. This person you are calling yourself humble and a Christian, what have they done? They have destroyed this country. This is what the people of Zambia are saying. This is what is on the ground. Concerning the issue of the army, which you said, General, the issue with the army, I will concur with you. Same with the police. They are all with the and they are there to support the Zambian people, and they want to see that the elections are very peaceful. Today, General, after the U.S. statement, ECZ now have lifted the suspension on the Kanyama and the other places. Now the issue is, have the investigation in Kanyama come to an end? Who caused the mayhem in Kanyama? Why can't people be serious and do things in a proper way? But because they know very well that they wanted to cause mayhem in Zambia and run to the US, now the US says, we are going to suspend your visas. When the war is there, you need to fight with the people there. That's now they have said, let's
Yes.
a ban on the Kanyama because we are causing a serious war. They had all the tactics in terms of blocking UPND from traveling. Imagine, look, General, HH will be in Luapula province around the 23 hours. They tell him to say, we have given you a clearance to go to Western province with your plane. So HH and the plane is in Lusaka. So HH needs to move around 23 hours the whole night to go to Lusaka to get in his plane and go to Western. After Western, they tell him, we have cleared you to go. In which province is far from Western? They tell you, so we have cleared with your flight to go to Central Province. Again, from there, you need to find out. Look how much stress they managed to frustrate this man. But this man is very much determined. He's a rich man. He's a hard worker. He has everything, but he just wants to serve the people of Zambia in easy genuinity. He don't want to come and compete with you, General, in terms of money. He has all the money. But now we have seen how the thieves are trying to compete with a person who's already established and who has everything. Well, them, when they were entering government, they didn't have any coin in their pockets. People are contributing for them to even campaign. But today they want to do, and it seems like they have it all. That is something unacceptable. And as the Zambian people, we should stop having a situation of someone going or wants to be voted as a leader, they have nothing, and within a short period of time, they are billionaires and they start insulting us. That's unacceptable. No wonder someone goes and they say, HH has been named to get 300,000 from a named investor or from a company. HH, for God's sake, is worth $1 billion US. How can he get a 300,000 US dollars? That's an insult to HH. That's an insult to HH, and it's unacceptable. PF should behave very well, unlike what we are trying to alarm the people with fake news. Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you so much, Jeremy. Dr. Kasonso, what's your comment about the fake news, $300 from the mining company, the fake news about the mast, and Dr. Kaunda's video? I just wish I could show it here. It's disgusting for PF to do that. Over to you, Dr. Kasonso.
I think I'll underline the last word you have used, disgusting. You know, Dr. Kaunda, if you go to the founding father of the PF, Dr. Kaunda has never received more insults in his life, more than he got from one of his political sons, Michael Sat, the founder of PF.
Yeah.
Dr. Kaunda cannot be the nurturer of the Patriotic Front. Dr. Kaunda is above all of that. Maybe they use his funeral, the popularity of Kenneth Kaunda in the sub-region and what he has done for us as a country. But they don't think very much. They don't think very much. And I'm seriously concerned about that. I think, General, this should be the last time that we put empty heads in government who don't understand their own country, who don't understand the global economy, who don't understand the regional economy. This should be the last time. Winning elections need not to be on tricks. But from day one, the PF and their candidate have been winning elections using tricks. And that is what we are treated to. But now the tricks are not selling anymore. Nga mwamu mona imwe mwana wa mutonga imina na bakalunda kumwini lunga. Ero abaposha afyatse mudinga hii. Bakalunda. My father's cousins. They go a war. They are already in a new country. So if you win my elections, election you go fina kumuneno challenge. Kachiruba kalichanga kaisa Africa fe. Na kebya nechi mobwino na microphone babwesha panshi na media ba Africa. Ero kwasa punda fe adilewa. Ichinkupiti chonzi chaimba has come fongo leta tule mufwaya na ifwa bapene mfuko tatule ifwaya tule fo kutsako improve dental formula kwa kateka wale wakucha represent kufyaro fya basungu yupo keko nendalama kuba fyaro fya basungu uku tutanishe ndalama mulandu wa makongole ya bulo kulipira twanaka. That is on Dr. Kaunda. tulandeko na pali ba mass newspaper. Mass newspaper, iya alikuwa candidate wa Socialist Party. Bali mubula ule Freddy Membe. Baya muisalira company kaweka post newspaper kwa bulo mulandu. In my field of accountancy. Lakini pia ukeko na bwino pachipuna chandi chino ndi actually yachira musana muno ndi vacation sport.
Ikale ni bwino ba doctor you're on TV bakwetu. So on your TV kawetu sit up straight.
Thank you, sir. I apologize for being too comfortable in this luxury sport. Freddie Membe. Bayamu is a company at it owes taxes. Ine. I mean, why you can watch well. Never chama taxes kwa IRS. Company tatuya mukuisala na ba IRS tawesa mukuisala. Ngana ikwata capacity ya kugenerate revenue. Because we have to protect other interests, including the interests of employees, the pension funds related to that company, and nefya. But why my Freddie Membe post? That was a mistake. It wasn't just a mistake. It was a decision based on an inferiority complex. Remember Frederick Chilwa, Kaunda withstood the post. Frederick Chilwa withstood the post. Mwana Wasa withstood the post. Rupia Banda withstood the post. Michael Sata withstood the post. But Paisa mfuko na inferiority complex Paisa la post. No mbalelo posti. Ni masi ni posti. Posti. Lero sababu tukawa opposition wanankwe. So they cannot win an election on a clean platform. But if we win my elections upon matrix, but unomu kujenro tafia bombe. Abantu na bakana lesana kana nemipa shesna ikana nama uteko yambia kufia fimbina yakana kuya bebe.
There's somebody called Sampa Chungu says, what is Ambassador Emmanuel Mwamba doing in Zambia? He's one of those playing tricks and causing all problems in Lusaka. Okay, before we move on the propaganda, Bishop Amakando stands up and says the people are complaining. The price of everything is high. People are complaining that their businesses are closing. People are complaining that everything is not working. Bishop Amakando says there must be change. Then the PF comes in with a long list of bishops and some of the reverends I've never seen to try and discredit Bishop Namakando, just for saying there's need for change.
Lakini just ukipata ndimpati.
Kwa reverend, pastor, doctor, go ahead, sir.
Uku tuka Bishop Makando Mzambe chimono kutuka papa. Bengi avena Zambia aba ya kucheichi yakwe. Na fwe bachi wakati we are all reserved. Bishop Makando is a genuine man. If he is one of the few guys, if he wanted to be president, he can even stand and win because he has a following in the country. So utoto puoto bachitire listi. Ututu inotu aletu webati yo HH is a satanist. But bena ba PF bale ya kundoshi nenganga shaku Nigeria. Nukula from na mabasi Mozambia pakuwe na my elections kuipa ya bantu.
Even nenganga shaku Malawi, ingangasha kumalawi na Tanzania, we know.
Yeah. So iyo yakwati bayavula list yakuchita mashanishan techfibombe. Nobody in Zambia right now in the church world can equal Bishop Makando's clout. And Bishop Makando, for heaven's sake, he's just a prayer guy. He's an innocent man, just looking at his parishioners, the things they are struggling with. And he comes out of a prayer closet to speak. And he even said it. I'm not preaching to you today, I'm just prophesying. Prophecy, efo yaba mchebo chakwale ba general. Ngatawite meno prophecy. Kuikana. Ngatawite meno prophecy kuikana, but prophecy yonse fo yawa. Yari kwa tenshita ya it has a time span. So you wait for each time span to run. And if what Bishop Makando prophesied is false, then we can declare him a false prophet after each time span. Takwa abati yo prophets achta prophesied na mwala waya kulo tukasisema twabufi eto moimi gati yo fiat prophesy. It's not political. The PF government and their people, they don't even understand spirituality. They don't even read the scriptures. Even their president is a PWC, president without a church. How can he understand a Christian nation?
Don't say he has no church, doctor. He has got a church. He's building a church in Lusaka. And yesterday he went to pray at that church of his because he doesn't believe in other churches. He's building a church, the place of worship, according to him, worshiping the Christians of Lungu. I think that's what I understand. So
Pastor
that is
Lungu.
the story.
Pastor
That is
Lungu.
Pastor Lungu.
Awo kuba chakolo wale bonse kulia Jameson yuko beikata na kuchani.
Jeremy, over to you.
I'm laughing a lot. The doctor has also you're killing me today.
Over to Jeremy and then Frank, please.
Yes. Bishop Imakando didn't tell anyone to vote for any certain political party. No, he just said the month of August is a month of change. Change your capability, change your habits, change whatever you do to change and do the correct thing so that your life is improved. Now, for me, Bishop Imakando is my papa. You see? And whoever touches my papa, I don't like and I don't take them lightly. So in that situation, all those you saw who were attacking Bishop Imakando, ask me, what did they take before attacking Bishop Imakando? Those were suffering from the side effects of Mutoto General. They took Mutoto a day before.
Jeremy, no. I think we are serious with 2 days to go. No. Yeah, I do understand. We've got 2 days to go before elections. So no, Jeremy. We talked about Mtoto. Please, we have 2 days to go. We know that Bishop Imakando was attacked by people who really don't know what they are doing. Most of these people have been paid, by the way.
That's a side effect of Mtoto attacking an innocent person for not doing the correct, for not understanding what they are doing. Those are documented side effect of Mtoto General. When I start attacking you for not understanding your role, then just know that you have consumed Mtoto a night before. And
okay, over to Frank. Frank, what do you think about the attack? Because this is all propaganda from PF. This is just too much propaganda. What do you think was happening to Bishop Makando and the attacks he's had? And they're all being given free time by ZNBC. Go ahead.
Yeah, Frank? I had to go and watch that video. I had to go and watch Bishop Imakanda's video after I had all the condemnation that I saw. And in his videos, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead, Frank.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
No?
Yes, we can hear you, Frank.
I had to
go ahead.
I had to go and look at the videos after I saw all the comments being made on social media. And after I watched the video, I didn't see Bishop Imakando say, don't go and vote PF, go and vote this political party or anything else. He just mentioned August is a month of change. And in whatever he was saying, he didn't say to people, don't go and vote, but people got the message. And the PF government are overreacting to this because they know what the message is. People are not happy, people have had enough, and they know that people have had enough. And suddenly they are attacking this man who was never in government. The PF government has been in power for the last eight years. They're the one who have caused the mess. Leave the man alone. Whatever he said, as a church leader, he's got responsibility to encourage people to vote. He didn't tell them who to vote for. He just encouraged people to vote. Whatever the government thought he was saying, because they know they have not done what was required of them, that hence you got the response that you got. Cool, Beverly.
Thank you so much, ladies. There's no lady, gentlemen. It's the propaganda, and it's going to get worse. 2 days to go, it's going to get worse. And what is even scary now is that they are not even ready to cover up their propaganda. Mr. Lungu is saying HH should be shot in the head. That's what he's saying, basically. That's a sign of desperation, Mr. Lungu. People don't want that. And I think we're in a democracy. We need to go and ask our people to vote, and the winner will be declared. That's all. Don't threaten anybody. Don't shoot anybody in the head. Don't use mtototo. Don't use anything. Just go and vote. That's all we need. And and I think that's what we need. That's what democracy is all about. It's all about numbers. Okay. Now we were expecting people from the Copper Belt. We've got 15 minutes to go, gentlemen. I want us to look at two things. One, how HH has been mistreated and how he has turned that into a serious opportunity. Secondly, another 10 minutes, we should be talking about what our people should go to turn and vote. So let's start with Dr. Jones. What do you think about this stopping of HH flying? He can't even go to the Copper Belt tomorrow. And instead he has turned it to go to Livingstone, go to Western Province. The amount of energy in this gentleman, I just don't understand it. What do you think is happening, Dr. Jones?
The time for Hakainde Hichilema has come. Do not despise people. Do not insult people. In the kingdom of Israel, there was one hero from the tribe of Dan. His name was Gideon. That tribe was one of the least of the tribes, and he rose as a national hero to defend the cause of the nation. And the whole country of Israel followed him. So basically, I am angry as an individual that Hakainde Hichilema has been treated as a second-class citizen by the Patriotic Front, not only through their message, but through their use of public institutions. You remember in 2016, he petitioned an election. They didn't even allow his petition to be heard. Yep. They played tricks with it. The guy rises and goes to every village to campaign. They used to let him go and campaign. Now they're even afraid of him standing before the people because he's carrying the anointing, the grace of God on him. Yeah. And that is going to be very, very difficult to overcome on the 12th of August. So my sympathies to them. I always say this, General. They had a chance to lead. They failed to lead.
Yep.
Somebody must step in those shoes and provide leadership to this broken country. They are doing a disservice to Zambia. They talk loud. They talk a lot of tribalism. They talk a lot of trash. They do a lot of these things. But the one thing that they can't do, which have failed, is to govern. The nation is drowned in debt. The credit card of Zambia cannot work anywhere, not in India, not in Malaysia, not in Mongolia, not anywhere. What kind of a government is that? You know, the people who took over Sata's political party, that is why we resisted them. We were members. That's why we didn't want them to take over. They never understood the cause They never understood the country, and they never understood the world in which we live in. The satellites from the moon can see what is happening on Earth. The phones people are carrying can see what is happening on the moon. Nangumwamupatashani umuneno, nangumwapatashani chalo cheno. Zambia chalo chavatonga. Before anybody migrated to that piece of land, avatonga ekobali. There is no Zambia without avatonga. But ngamwapatako mutundu, okay, yes, na mutueva mwalia because everywhere mulenda mutundu mwalipato mutundu. No mbaimo mutundu wenu, bushefianse fisuma. And other people don't have anything they can hate about your tribe. That is not the essence of this country. That's not the essence of this election. It's not about little tribal resentments and tribal hatreds. No. But the whole thing of we are in an election season and we have a constitution that governs it, and you are abrogating the constitution to disallow an individual to campaign in different areas of the country. It's just shameful. It's just shameful. And we have to find out if that is even illegal. If they come to August 12, ngavapona, to find out, valoya vakatuweve vamusha, bushefile valetsa fyali illegal, shana ngata fyali illegal na fyana. Fyafine vavulo mwaicho, uyu mwaicho walela kana ba minister bali abana kashiba la basumani. Cyane national yako. Ule babika mukaliati. Na wewe nefe tufetwa bafwairisha twabika pora bamuna mukaliati, ngachakwe bati fefo balechita fyali illegal. Uyu mwaicho wabika mukaliati uyu wale kopa ama photographs atani china.
Mwaiche chera kutukuta.
Chera tukuta bamubikire mukaliati kwe batalira ndio tumashubutu bipali badora. Ba Edgar Lungu to tumashuba chibonfya tuli pali yakainde ichilema. That is against the cyberbullying law. Na bena kuli kwa bako tumotu mtu akufaisha pamweo wabonga kwa boku bafunya hapo.
Dr. Kasonso, you have taken over the TV Bakweto comments. PWC. What does that stand for? Everybody's laughing.
President without a church in a Christian nation.
Yeah, that is interesting. So, gentlemen, because everybody's commenting about the president without a church. Where was Mr. Lungu baptized? Me, I would give you my baptism certificate. Now, Jeremy, let's have 2 minutes on this issue of HH and them stopping him. 2 minutes for you, Jeremy, and 2 minutes for Frank.
General, even if they stop HH, I'm talking to you, an hour ago, people were waiting for HH in Choma. Even if HH says, I'm starting off to the Copper Belt at midnight, he was going to find a lot of people waiting for him in Copper Belt because people are enjoying the anointing that Papa Dr. Jonas Kasonso has mentioned on HH. So that is what's happening. There is anointing in this man, and this man is anointing the people who are working with him. And he is going to anoint the nation as he take over this week as a president of this country. The PF are scared. They are now saying HH is requesting for 300,000 US dollars from the vendetta. My goodness, HH cannot link such law. Is a man of integrity. Have you ever heard HH drinking Jameson? Have you ever heard hearing HH say that he was drunk, he had collapsed?
No,
he is a clean man. He is a tough man. They have tossed him here, right, left, center. Imagine if these people are the one who were put in cells for 127 days. Can those people stay? Come with just being told to say you're going to jail. He started collapsing. But HH said, no problem, let me go to jail. But you need to, until they say they have no any evidence of whatever. So these are the people who have been fighting HH all this time. But the people of Zambia, as the time for people of Zambia has also come to deny them. And we are denying them in large numbers. And Jen, of your own information, will be going to queue up for voting around 18 hours on the 11th until we vote the following day around 06. That's what we are going to do to show that we don't want to.
Now, I think when I hear somebody saying I will arrest HH, what comes into my mind, gentlemen, viewers, is that somebody allowed the ministers to remain in office. First of all, when the petition was put in 2016, the Constitution says he should hand over to the Chief Justice. He did not do that. That was violating the Constitution. Number two, when he told the ministers to remain in office, that was a violation of the Constitution.
Yeah.
He has violated the Constitution many times. Even this idea of threatening somebody to be shot in the head, that's a crime.
Yeah.
The only thing which saves the president without a church is that he is in office now. He has got immunity. But after Friday, as soon as the new president is sworn in, his immunity can go and he can be charged for anything.
awe vachipakulekeni ndande kwapo iyo immunity yavalungu ifwire yafumapo day one so that vafailishefo valawyer ngapari vachita iyo mwachilande iyamacrimes ayo constitution yazambia yari yanoko vati ngavari kuchita swear inimi kushiviki taufuyiro kuimini nako navemini navalungu third term. That is also a violation of the constitution. Nakalake naka constitution court kavako vapanga kani kafure twakwatapo twakulanda nga twavika pokateka wanyu.
The constitution is very, very clear, and the constitution is that his immunity can only be removed by parliament. I think it's 2/3 of the votes in parliament. So Mr. Lungu has to be very careful. You don't know what you're asking for by threatening to the same person you are threatening to arrest can be the president, will be the president on Friday or Saturday. What happens next? So your 2 minutes, Mr. Frank Saliki, on the issue of HH being stopped, he can't fly, the vice president coming back to Lusaka, being threatened everywhere.
I think for me, when it comes to HH being stopped everywhere, for him, this has not been an easy journey for him. Remember after the elections, remember he was jailed for he was jailed, and for a lot of people that could have been the end of it. We've seen Mr. Chimba Kambali try to be in opposition and failing and realize how hard it is. There's something that drives HH. I think what people have to realize is he's got lots of money already. He could have easily said, I'm going to walk away from this. It is hard. And that's why I keep saying, if HH doesn't win these elections, HH doesn't lose the elections. The Zambian people do. He's demonstrated his leadership. He's demonstrated that he never gives up. He's demonstrated that he's doing this for a cause. And for me, that's what makes a great leader. Not when something goes wrong very quickly, they completely give up. A lot of people could have stayed away. And it's important. You can see what the PF government have tried to do. They've harassed the oppositions wherever they've gone. This has never happened before. And I've said this for weeks. Every political party, the only thing that they had to do was to tell the people of Zambia, this is what we are going to give you if you elect us. That's the message. But the message has been, Uyunga isapo kapela fiabatonga. That's the only message that has been. It's all been about being dividing the country. For me, that's a demonstration of a government that has not got anything to offer, that knows that it has failed in every front. So then they're just using tribalism to divide the country. They've got no message. And HH has demonstrated the leadership qualities. It's demonstrated never giving up on the people of Zambia. And it's about time the people of Zambia on the 12th will stand up with him.
There's one comment here, viewers. They are saying if it was the president without a church going through what HH has gone through, standing up and running from Sesheke to social everywhere, he would have collapsed twice before, by now. He would have collapsed twice by now. This is the comment. It's not me. It's a comment from one of our viewers. Now, there's also another comment here. What do you think about what Kambwili said about Mrs. Levi Mwanawasa? That the new UPN government will be saying, "Oh, this one is what's her name again, Mrs. Mwanawasa?"
Maureen
Mwanawasa. No. You can't get a job. This is a ha. Oh, okay. Somebody saying, what do you think about that comment by Kambwili?
Wakapoli is out of his mind, and what has happened is that he has been paid to a cushion on his criminal allegations. When you are accused of a criminal crime, you go to defend yourself in the court of law. You don't collect bribes and then you go and scandalize other people. We don't want a country like that. Self-defense has to be in the court of law. So Mwalishwa ba chipakupaku, that there are two kinds of animals in my mother's village. Kwali bembwili. Mwalishwa mbwili. And kwali banakapoli. Go and just Google. Mbwili is called tiger. And kapoli is a bush pig. And they've all got different types of habits and different things. And you come and tell me there is a Mbwili in the politics of Zambia anymore. Bantu wale shapari kapoli wale tati Mbwili.
So personally, I believe that what Kambwili said, sushi, that's the right term, said about Mrs. Maureen Mwanawasa was distasteful. It was not acceptable at all. It was not acceptable. Yes, Frank, go ahead.
But General, the whole PF campaign has been very, very distasteful, and any peaceful, loving Zambian should be horrified when they hear things like that. Things like that cannot be acceptable. You don't expect people who are potentially going to be ministers to be coming up with things like that. That's not the way you do campaign. That's not how you campaign. This has been an attack on what we stand for as peace-loving Zambian. The PF has deliberately attacked what has been the foundation of our country. And the people of Zambia have to say no more. That no one should ever again attack what we stand for as Zambians, something that has lasted for a long time. I tell people in the UK all the time, if you come to Zambia, if you go to Zambia for holiday, because it's the most peaceful place on earth, and these people are trying to rip the fabric of what makes our country great, and we should not let it happen.
Thank you so much, Frank. We've got about, just before we move on, Jeremy, we've got 4 minutes. Should I say 6 minutes, which means we'll have 2 minutes each to advise Zambia of what they should do. And then I will read the steps of the voting. So Jeremy first, please. You wanted to say something?
General, yes. I wanted to tell the viewers that when they follow, I want to...
Just a minute, please. If you are not speaking, please, can you mute yourselves? Because there's some feedback from the background. I'm not sure where it's coming from. Thank you. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Sorry, it was my feedback. Sorry, General.
Oh, that's okay, Musha.
General, are you aware that PF was not campaigned in Southern Province? Are you aware that PF was not campaigned in Western Province? Are you aware that PF have not campaigned in Northwestern Province? Are you aware?
Jeremy, what are you talking about? They have campaigned. They have campaigned the Southern Province. They've insulted Southern Province. That's their campaign. They have campaigned.
So,
they've insulted. All the Tongas and all the other tribes which go with the Tongas, including me from Mumbwa. They've insulted me. That's their campaign. So don't say they've not campaigned. They have campaigned. That's the message they've sent to everybody. Go ahead.
When they start seeing the results coming from these provinces, they start calling tribalism. No, go sell your manifesto. They have not done that. Us, as UPND, we have gone to campaign in Luapula, in Northern, and in Muchinga. As we are talking right now, our alliance president, President KBF, is in Northern Province. Today, he was in Luapula. He's doing the campaign because we are showing them that UPND, it is the government that believes in one Zambia, one nation, and it's going to unite everyone. They have not done that. They are just allowing people like Kamwiri to go and insult the Tongas in Northern, the Tongas in Luapula, the Tongas in Copper Belt, and other areas. That's the funny part which I've seen with the PF. Come to Copper Belt, they have not campaigned, but dishing out money. When you hear that they have come to Copper Belt, just know that they have come to Copper Belt to dish money. But people are asking, what policies are you going to put in place? They are not explaining anything. Today you hear we have cancelled road tax. Tomorrow you hear we have cancelled this. What are you going to do? They are not saying anything. And moreover, the question of what are you going to do, it is the question for the opposition, us in opposition. Them, it's about what they have done. And we have seen them, they have done in terms of increasing the corruption level, buying counterfeit medicine or rotten drugs for the people of Zambia. We have seen them buying ambulances at more than 200,000 US dollars, General. 200,000 US dollars. And do you know how much loan parliamentarians are given by parliament to buy those nice vehicles? Do you know, General? They give 100,000 US dollars. But now a government goes and buy an ambulance at 250 or 235,000 US dollars, and you say Zambia is poor. That's not true, General. But it is the reckless of the ruling Patriotic Front government that has made the Zambian people to be poor because of reckless procurement that they have put their hands into. But, General, it's just less than 48 hours. President Hakainde Hichilema is coming to control the situation, and we are going to have Zambia start moving in the right direction. Thank you, General.
General, you've already taken your 2 minutes. So you've told the Zambians, reminded them about the ambulances. What are you saying to the people of Zambia, Dr. Kasonso? 48 hours to go.
Muevena Zambia, concept from every part of the country. Tumanyaka pi imeni mwe mufunyepo uteko bwa mukukulu. Bike nipo umwana mugoto, umwana wa mutonga. Tanona Majemerson to samunai kutimugano wa mugaza muge. Anwafyo mukaka. Kabiye Muevena Zambia, put in sober leadership, sober government that understands how money works. How money works.
There's somebody laughing. Dr. Kasonso, there's somebody laughing there. Can you let him give him the chance to laugh? Because everybody wants to hear that laugh. Go ahead, Musha.
No, ninseka kale General.
Okay. Thank you so much. Go ahead. Another 1 minute.
Leadership. We are a better country. You know, amano ya Zambia yaba for every corner. But parika nakashita. Tentwike pomnenso. A control chalo. Atuwa fobonse. Nangu afirwa o gachite ngambo kutenshana. Efi tugeza pano pe tukalanda fimofine. But if you parine fyo abachi busa wesu bonse chifona kubalombula na mashida balomba na balungu na batashani na balungu shechalo. No many. Chipia, let's start afresh. This is a better country. We still have a chance. Nangwama Chinese Congo 15 billion. Unity is the cause of this country. We don't have a Zambia without unity. Our forefathers founded this republic, so founded in liberty and understanding that every member of every tribe and every village was a necessary part of this republic. Ngati fintu fyafiri kwa fyafini bishop atufundile mpatili wesu bishop Makando apo bambili okupakashira nevas mumbale sai imye Makando imakando ufunde chevo chakwalisa mayanda yesu ma sitting room alanda koko bati nsala yachilabo nenkongole chachalo something is not working aireterera ubu buteko bwaifita tule bufo bwakwa mu butu dictatorship chintu wekere kuli chiluba kuli democracy ama isosele ama yendele muchalo chesu nga wafupanga political party waya campaign afyawa mafya fino chalo ififya isako tufikane na imo ba military abashirikale wesu supporting abantu besu tukwate change ili supported nefyalo fimbi ba America na abasoka elo mwe bantu bakwalesa te kwesho kwangalira kuli America ngakusoka America alafikirisha elo bonse abachita bet against America balalusa isentu funya bufyo buteko mumutende tubike po buteko bumbi tutampe chipya tutse correct ifirubo fya panga banensu bare bayi banatubaka ke efichitika ngawayi bakukakwa so ngawale tino kukakwa if it's a given iyo bale iba pene it was a given. So in my conclusion in ndelanda fyokwe bati pa in the next 48 hours kabiyeni muye vota mu nambe ishingi ukufunyapo ubuteko bwaba mukukulu nabapupu tuve ko control efintu fiye ko mumbi tule umfuana pa mitundu fya fileta atakaunda tubikire pamo fya fine Frederick Chiluba aletere abato Chiluba ali wina kubutonga bonse ife fya kulanda na Yesu Kristu ngali lushire kubutonga ba senshi ba PF na resata bamuishi banakateka wabo ni president without a church ife fya kulanda na Yesu Kristu alushire ko tabasha te Yesu Kristu umutonga Yesu Kristu mubemba Yesu Kristu engaluse mpangana ngwimo kabiye nife tuchinje ubuteko mu busuma totampe chipya aba nensu bali yeseshe batu kufirwa kwena mwandini bali firwa ine pamongo mu bonfi wenu no mwana wenu na chibusa wenu uwaberenge namba shonse pano sambale chalo na libebe tamalembo yonse no kusanga tinga tuwakuchakwe batu achinjisha ubuteko ifintu fika wama kuntanshi na Zambia ikabako bwino
Thank you, Dr. Gas. Thank you. Frank, you've got a very big task. You are the youngest panelist, and the majority of the voters in Zambia are young people, especially these people who were born in 2000, 1998, 1999, 2000, voting for the second time. What is your message about this election in 2 days' time? 2 minutes, Frank. You are mute, Frank. You are mute. You are mute, Frank.
I can still remember the time when people were going to college and universities and they were finding jobs and they were finding employment straight after graduating. This is not the way the country was. I have seen a better Zambia. I've seen a better Zambia where young people are prosperous. I've seen a better Zambia where there was peace in our streets. I've seen a better Zambia where people hoped for the future. Even up to now, I talk to my friends who I went to school with. I've got 2 degrees. I'm not even showing off. I'm just trying to demonstrate. I've got 2 degrees. I've got 2 master's degrees. They're still just about managing to go to college now because the funds were never there, because the support were never there. That's not the way it's supposed to be. The government that we have taken all their children abroad for school. They're supporting everybody else. They're closing our universities time and time again, and our young people are not finishing. This is not the way things are supposed to be. Remember meal allowances that were taken away from our young people. What happens when you go to university and your family are poor? That meal allowance was meant to supplement that so that you're not phoning back home to say, can I have more money? They took that away from the poor Zambians because they knew they had enough money to give their children. They stole that money that was supposed to you and directed it to something else. So as you make a choice in a couple of days' time, remember, this was not the government. This is the government that took away something that you really needed. This was a government that did not hear your cry. This is not the government that has given you the support that you need. Remember the Youth Empowerment Fund? That was supposed to help the youth. They gave it to their cadres instead of Zambian youth who really needed it the most. And our youth are still suffering. This is your opportunity to say, we've seen what you can do. And now it's time for you to pack your bags and go back to where you came from, because you have failed.
I'm appealing to the Zambians. In the next 2 days, you go early, very early, go as early as you can to go and queue up. We know, ladies and gentlemen, that the PF are trying to use the trick of going to vote early and then stop you from voting. So go in big groups, don't go alone, go in groups of 10, 20, 15, and go and queue early. Do not take any regalia with you. Do not take your UPND or PF or MMD regalia with you. Use your own clothes, no colors, no red, no green, because they will turn you back. Take your NRC, your voter's card, and go and queue. They will let you in one by one. They will check your NRC. Then they will make sure that they give you 4 ballot papers. One for the president, the second one for the MP, the third one for your mayor or your council chairman, the fourth one for your councillor. Make sure that these 4 ballot papers are stamped behind. We already hear that some people are stamping some ballot papers illegally somewhere. We know, we're getting these reports. Make sure that your ballot paper is stamped before you vote. You will go into the booth. There will be no cameras on those booths. Don't listen to what PF is saying. And you will mark your X against me. I'm recommending that you vote for UPND. I'm not apologizing for that. Wherever you will see the hand, in the case of the president, where the hand is on the right hand side, there's a box there, you put a cross. Do not tick, do not write your name, just a cross there. The MP, the same. Where there's a hand, next you cross. Council chairman or mayor, the same. Your councillor, the same. We are saying let's get all the 4 on UPND and make sure that you vote and give all your candidates, the 4 candidates, whether it's in the north, whether it's in Luapula, whether it's in Eastern Province, whether it's Lusaka, do that. And when you've done that, put these ballot papers in 4 boxes. All these 4 boxes will have different colors. I can't remember the colors, but we'll be telling you the information tomorrow. All these boxes of different colors, put these things out. They might stamp your hand, and then you go home, go and get some food and come back. Come and protect your vote 100 meters away from the polling station. We are getting reports that as you are queuing, as you'll be queuing, some PF cadres and their people will be handing you with pre-marked ballot papers. Do not accept those. Even if they give you 100,000 kwacha, don't take it. Because if you'll be doing that, you'll be violating and going against the law. We hear they've already got pre-marked papers. And they will be giving you these pre-marked papers for you to go and vote for Mr. Lungu, because they're all presidential papers which they've stolen. Our people will be watching, and if they see you picking another paper from outside, you will be in trouble. So my appeal is that please go early and make sure that you vote correctly so that you don't have disqualified papers. If you don't have a stamp behind, your vote will be disqualified. So for tonight, we've looked at some of the tricks by PF. We've looked at some of the propaganda by PF. We've looked at the American statement, which is very, very clear. If we make a mess in 2 days' time, we are going to end up in trouble as a country. We've looked at some of the role of the PF officials. And I think I've named one general this evening. Do not play games with the future of our country. And we've also mentioned something very, very important tonight. The army is not your enemy. Those are your children. Those are your brothers and sisters. They are there to protect you. But remember that we have a few cases, especially in the police and the Air Force, who are being used by PF. Finally, we discussed HH. HH is, you can't stop him. It's too late. HH can't be stopped. You might stop him from going from the copper belt. HH will still win this election, whether he goes to the copper belt or not. He has already demonstrated that he's resilient. So once more, I would like, on behalf of Munsha, who has been listening, on behalf of Dr. Kasonso, Professor Kasonso, I don't want the titles to go away, Doctor, Jeremy, and Frank Saliki. People are asking, are you American or British? I tell them you are British and Zambian. So there are all these questions here. So on behalf of the panel tonight, and on behalf of all our viewers, we thank you so much for participating in these programs. The next 2 days, we'll continue with information. We are trying to get HH. We are trying, because this program is just disturbed. We are trying. I think we will get him before the elections. But thank you so much to all our viewers. Give us the stars. We love those stars. Munsha, unless you've got something else before I say good night from Scotland. Over to you, Munsha.
Okay, good night, good night. Thank you, General. We really appreciate you and everything you are doing. Zambia definitely appreciates you. General, the only other additional thing I remember, you've already spoken about it. People must show up to vote. There is nothing like kutati tatkwetolupia mufuaye ngakukongola muye kongola. No, don't even say that. No, it's the party that is supposed to pay for you or anything like that. I know that the party might help or well-wishers might help. Ngakugandula mukagandule. Ngakuninendeke mubarefa yuko kuninendeke mukaninendeke vajero mukaninendeke from Lusaka okuya kuluwansha mukuvota naimwe vakasonso okomudi naimwe va general okomudi naimwe va Frank bonse ukuisa kuno mukuvota. Otherwise fyonse inchito yonse yotowachita without the evidence of actually voting means it's nothing. All our people, please take this very seriously. Show up early, vote early, and then go and drag others also to the voting booth. General, over to you.
Thank you so much, Munsha, and to our viewers and to everybody who's been tuning to TV Bakwetu. We thank you for all your support. I know that we're getting up to 1.7 thousand. We are not getting up to 2,000 viewers, but I know that there are more people watching us. We thank you for all your support. We are back tomorrow at the same time when we will be looking more on issues, the tricks of the PF, the last minute appeal for our voters, and anybody who needs help in case you can't go to vote, get in touch. We'll try and find ways of helping you. If it means being given a lift, we'll ask somebody to give you a lift. So once more, from Scotland and on behalf of the whole team from Team Bakwetu TV, good night and God bless our country, and may God continue to calm down Mr. Lungu. That's not going to be the end of life, Mr. Lungu. Zambia still loves you. You will still be a Zambian. Nothing will change, and we still love you. Good night from Scotland.
Thank you.